This show is presented by the 323 Network. You can watch all your favorite 323 friends and shows on the 323 Network YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms at 323Reid, and support us as we continue to grow at patreon.com/323Reid. That's 323REID. Scott, guess what?
What?
Football. Football. Football.
Oh, no.
Oh, football.
Oh.
Luis, football.
Yeah.
You guys better be careful. You get demonetized.
You know what? We might actually get more with those noises. Oh, folks. This is the 323. I am your host, Reid Murphy. And yes, football is back. Woo! Just had a college football weekend. I'm sorry, not Deion Sanders. Coach Prime. Coach Prime is taking over the sport, at least until Chiefs-Lions. And then, yes, the NFL. It's back. It's coming. It's taking over. Our addiction starts. Our Sunday hangovers begin. It's us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And joining for all this hype, joining for all these sensual football noises, we have the host of the 323's College Shame Day. You can catch it literally anywhere you get podcasts, or this podcast is right always under us, or the 323 Network on YouTube to see his beautiful face. It's Scott Ellia. Hi.
Hi. And officially, you can find us on Instagram now at 323 College Shame Day.
Hey.
He's always under us, just like how he likes it.
Stop, man.
I definitely recommend you go follow it. It is beautiful. You've done a beautiful job with it, Scott.
Thanks, man.
Excellent
Thanks.
work.
Just trying to make you happy.
I don't know how you did it all by yourself.
Right?
We also have our good friend, the host of Mi Gente Show and Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito. It's the one, the only, Luis Martinez.
What it is, what it was, what it shall be, gentlemen. Getting ready for foosball
All that
on the West
foosball.
Coast, where we wake up at 9, chug a beer, and by 10 a.m. we're already watching games.
And it's good to have you here because, I mean, you came in sort of near the end of the season is when we when we first started interacting, and then you just started kicking our ass in picks and just taking over. So, you know, as we launch into Ricks versus Gricks and all, it's good. It's good to get you right in from the start and see that we can, you know, you just had some lucky weeks.
It was a small sample size, as they say.
That's right. And finally, he'll be here for moral support, some sleepy laughs, and other kinds of delusions. He's the host of the Animation Deliberation podcast. Give it up very quietly for Zuhair Ali.
Football's back, baby!
Oh, he's
I've
hyped.
done my dry runs on how many chores I can knock out before 12 o'clock. I've told everybody that they can politely fuck off unless they're talking football on Sundays. I give zero shits about anything else. Football's back. Commanders are on a high right now. We are ready to mindlessly scream at televisions. Let's get it.
It is that wonderful time of year, like that those few days leading into the beginning of the regular season, and literally every team has hope and has hype. You know, maybe outside of a couple. I'm sure the Arizona Cardinals are not feeling any type of hope or hype for this season. Although
I
they
have
did
hope
just,
for a first-round pick.
I mean, they did just name Kyler Murray, you know, a captain, so maybe he comes back in mid-season in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But look, we're launching into this season. We have a lot of storylines. I know. I know. I mispronounced my own name during the top 5 awards. Look, we're all
Let's glaunch.
synced. We're glaunching. We're glaunching into the season, and we're going to glaunch with Scott. As I ask you and Luis, what are some of the top storylines that you're following going into this NFL season?
One that I'm following that I don't think is on anybody's radar is I want to see if Justin Jefferson can be the first wide receiver for 2,000 yards. I mean, last year he had 120, just under 130 receptions, 1,800 yards. I know Tyreek Hill came out saying that he's aiming to try to be that first receiver ever to hit the 2,000 yards in a single season mark. But I think with Dalvin Cook kind of gone in Minnesota, it's kind of funnel a lot of production Justin Jefferson's way. So, and they just got T.J. Hawkinson for another year in there now, a little bit more comfortable. So hopefully that takes away some looks from Justin Jefferson on the outside. But that's one thing that I'm kind of looking for long term for the season.
I like that. I could actually.
What if they both get it in the same season?
Well, see, I'm curious about this with Justin Jefferson, and it's something that left me a little hesitant. Maybe I'm just overthinking things like I typically will with fantasy football, but Justin Jefferson, do we see any type of drop off? I mean, people are obviously going to be coming after him. Like, everybody knows this is Kirk's weapon, and now Thielen's gone. I mean, Thielen wasn't supreme, but he was a veteran, reliable number 2 receiver there paired with Jefferson. You have Jordan Addison now, but unproven. He's a rookie, so obviously you're gonna get all those double teams to Jefferson. Do you really think that instead of some type of drop off, you'll get closer to the 2,000 yards?
I'd like to say yes, but I don't think he's gonna. I really don't think if you look at the whole offense as a whole in Minnesota, I don't think he's gonna get hitting even the 18 mark. I think he's gonna have a slight drop off since he had that explosion last year, but I guess it's just wishful thinking.
I think it comes down to Kirk Cousins and if he's playing to get to another team or if he's actually playing for a contract in Minnesota.
I mean, Kirk's always paying for that. He's always playing for that next payday. Kirk's always getting that money.
He always gets paid. It's just a matter of where he wants to get paid.
Kirk's always got a bare minimum of $35 million coming his way. He will get that money.
Listen,
he gambled on himself. He bangled on himself in mediocrity and just every year.
Damn right. Listen, we saw that in Washington all this time.
The best thing Kirk can do is go to the West Coast. That way every game is a mid-afternoon game. That's the best thing he can do.
Luis, what are some of the storylines that you're following? I think we could guess, with your Jets background and all. There's probably a whole show of storylines that are right now. But I don't know. What are you looking at?
Listen, let's get the most obvious one out of the way. Can Aaron Rodgers bring the hype to the New York Jets? And obviously there's the hard knocks element, like whether it's overhyped. He wasn't good last year. Maybe wasn't as good as normal, but I just looked at some numbers earlier today. And Aaron Rodgers in 2022 for the Packers had 3,695 yards, which for him was probably the 10th or 11th best season he's ever had. For the Jets all-time passing numbers, that would be number 5 all-time.
Ooh.
So his worst season is a top 5 New York Jets season. The top 5 New York Jets passers of all time were Joe Namath. He had 4,000 yards once. Ryan Fitzpatrick had 3,900 yards. Ken O'Brien had 3,888. Vinny Testaverde had 3,700 one year. And Kenny O'Brien is currently at number 5 with 3,690. So Aaron Rodgers would be number 5 all-time on the Jets passing list with his worst passing season that he was not injured. His other 12, 4,000 plus, he would take the top 12 spots on the Jets all-time passing list with 4,600, 4,200, 49, 4,300. So I talked to you guys about it last year. The defense was there. We had defensive rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, a top 5 defense, and a bottom 3 quarterback output. Zach Wilson, Big Mike White. The whole shebang-a-bang was just doo-doo. Doo-doo. So I said it a couple of times last year, with just mediocre, average, Kirk Cousins light quarterback play, this is an entirely new team. So the hype is here, but Jets fans are solidly our defense is still the same. We still got Sauce. We got Gardner. Breece Hall's coming back. So if Aaron Rodgers can just be normal and just be a little Aaron Rodgers like and give us competent quarterback play, we're gonna Glaunch all the way to the fucking Super Bowl. That's my fucking that's my bold take this year. I think we can do it. Listen, and it's because of the defense. It's because that offense. That obviously every team's gonna have offensive line questions, right? Except maybe like the Cowboys and a couple other teams that just invested multiple first round picks in their offensive line. But the motherfucker gets that ball out quick. Just 2-yard slants to Garrett Wilson to the house. We got deep threats. Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. Like, I don't know. I've tried to not let the hype overtake me as a Jets fan, but I am a believer. I am Fireman Ed. Beginning of the second half. Jets, Jets. Us and the Eagles like to spell things out. So we're going to face them in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a spell off. All green shit. Super Bowl, Jets, Eagles.
Whoa. Wow. Bold prediction.
I think Fitzpatrick only had like 11 yards here.
11 yards in a very unfortunate alleged water slide incident.
Couldn't even catch up to Mark Sanchez.
Oh my God. Don't bring him up again. I keep forgetting that he was one of us.
Jets quarterbacks don't work well in Washington, apparently.
No.
Or vice versa.
Well, look, so I'll close this storyline out because I think Scott is a good one to talk on this, and I'll ask both of you because I see some similarities here, and Scott has lived it. Tampa Bay in 2019, they were 7-9. They finished third in the NFC South. Jameis Winston was their quarterback. He famously threw 30, 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Yeah.
Yep.
And like they were great. They were a really solid team. They had like 3 Pro Bowlers and 2 All-Pros, but finished 7-9. And then what happens the next year? You get a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Tom Brady, who had, similar to Aaron Rodgers, a little bit of drop-off in the previous couple seasons with New England, just like Rodgers had here in Green Bay. And next year, Brady comes to Tampa. They go 11-5, and they win it all. Like it's wild. And from there on, you get some. How many years was he there? 3, 4 years of. Yeah, it was 3 years of consecutive playoff appearances, and just good times and good feelings post Jameis Winston. So, Scott, seeing that you've been through it and you've lived it with this kind of team, could you have those kinds of expectations realistically for Luis and his New York Jets? Do you see them as in the same position, maybe even better?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the talent level on both sides of the ball without Rodgers, I think that was the one thing that the Jets were missing was a competent quarterback. And now you get one of the best of all time under center for at least a year. And he's still playing at a relatively high level. Of course, his biggest hurdle is just going to be the AFC in general with how much firepower everybody has in that conference. But I mean, it's definitely not far-fetched to expect the Jets to go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Luis, if they don't make the playoffs, let's say New York just shits the bed. They don't even make the playoffs. They finish 9-8 or something because it's a tough division. It's not like this. It's not almost the same as the NFC South at the time. I guess the NFC South at the time was tough. You were at the end of the Drew Brees era, but this, you got Buffalo in their window. You got the Miami Dolphins, who could one of the most high-powered teams in the league. New England is New England, but whatever. But just that entire conference, what if shit goes south and they finish like 8-9, 9-8, don't make the playoffs? What's the thought process then?
Look, it's hard enough for like every Jets fan is scared that the shoe's going to drop on this for the entire season. We are just thinking that even if Aaron he gets hurt, that Zach Wilson just being around them might be a little bit of an improvement. The team is all in this year. They got extra money, but yeah, 8-9 would be would be embarrassing, but it would not be worse than the last 30 years. It would not be worse than butt fumble. It would not be worse than just being a laughing stock of the league for the last 30 years since the one time we won a Super Bowl. You're talking about a fan base that our greatest achievement over the last 10, 15 years was the one year that we beat the Patriots in the playoffs, and the can't wait clip, that's been what we've been hanging our hat on for the last 10 years, beating the Patriots in Foxborough the one year they didn't make this, one of the few years they didn't make the Super Bowl, and then getting smoked by the Steelers the next week. That's been the best that it's been. So you know what? Honestly, 8-9 would be an embarrassment, but it's nothing we haven't lived through before. Aaron said he loves the core and he wants to be here for 2 to 3 years. So yes, we're all in this year. But even if we have to take a step back, because those first 6 weeks of the season are going to be brutal, I'm still happy that we have competent quarterback play. And it might take a half a season for us to realize that Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback and that it's not a dream. So we will survive.
Oh, you know what that noise means, boys and girls and zoos. That means it is time. It is time to get really excited, to feel the full pleasure of football. It's time to pick division winners. It's time to go division by division and look at this NFL season as we spoil it all. Yeah, we liked it.
I love it.
We love it. It's going to be great. So, we're going to start out here in the AFC North. We're just going to go through the full Madden kind of standings that you always see. We're going to start out in the AFC North. And I just want to get brief thoughts from all of you and who you think the division winner will be for that division. And we're going to start with you, Mr. College Shame Day, Scott Ellia. What do you got going on in the AFC North this year?
It's going to be a tight race between all 4 teams, but I have, the Bengals have been owning that AFC North for years now, and until they get knocked off or proven wrong, I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati.
Luis Martinez, what do you have in the AFC North?
Listen, this team goes 8 and goes like 9-8 every year, or 10-6. Somehow they always manage to be there at the end, and they have probably the best coach in all of football. So I think this year, Cincy and the Ravens and the Browns all take a step back, and it's Steelers take that division this year.
Ooh. Shout out to Jeremiah Fletcher. He'll be happy. Zuhair Ali, who do you have in the AFC North?
I thought I was going to be unique in picking the Steelers, but with this being Deshaun's first year and just kind of a weird organization, and Lamar and Joe Burrow's health kind of being like up and down all the time, like who knows what injury is going to strike when the season starts, I feel like the Steelers are the best coach team with a solid defense, and their quarterback is only trending upwards. So they had their little kerfuffle last year, and they're going to make their comeback this year.
Okay, let's go. Another one for Pittsburgh. I can't totally argue against the notion of Pittsburgh. It's like Luis said, they are always a winning season with under Mike Tomlin. Like
never lost.
Yeah, they've never lost. And if they were going to, I think it would have been last season in this beginning transition from Roethlisberger to Pickett. Now, I think they've actually improved. I think Pickett is really starting to come into his own. And I would have loved to have picked them. And I'm Kenny. I would have loved to have picked the Steelers to win the AFC North. But it's also tough because you got Baltimore, who I think is going to be drastically improved. I think Lamar is going to be dramatically improved. Not only happy with his contract, but happy with an actual receiving core. And you have Cleveland. And I think Cleveland is a sneaky good team. And if Deshaun Watson can get just even like 75% back to form, I think you've got a competitive playoff contender there, let alone if he gets to that kind of Mahomes level that he was playing at. But I gotta take Scott's side on this one. I have to go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's fair.
You just look at them. They already had a sneaky great defense, and then you make a really good addition in the draft with Miles Murphy, and they're getting all the solid offensive line free agency help, signing Orlando Brown from I think he was with the Chiefs last year. So I think that is all the help that you need. If you can keep Burrow healthy and keep that connection straight between him and the best receiving core, I think, in the NFL of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, you've got something really special. I tried to fire Zach Taylor a couple years ago. Now I have him as a Coach of the Year contender. I think the Bengals are winning the AFC North and will be a heavy, heavy title contender. Now we're going to go down south to the AFC South. We go from one division that I think is the best in football, of the AFC North. I think it will be the best in football. To the AFC South, I think they'll be the worst. But let me get you guys' thoughts on it first. Scott, who's winning
I'd
the
be
AFC
amazed
now?
if we don't all pick the same thing.
I'm curious about it, too.
All right, well, let me just set the tone. You are 100% correct. The AFC South is – there's something about those South conferences that are trash. The NFC South is trash. AFC South is trash. But you look at the college football world, those Southeastern teams always just dominate year in and year out. But we're going to keep it in Florida with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in that division. I mean, especially he's going to be in year 2 of Dougie P's system. We always saw what he did in Philly and got that MVP season out of Carson Wentz. And he's the pieces that they have there. I think ETN's going to have a really great year this year as well. So that's probably the most obvious pick for the South.
Luis, who do you have for the South?
I got a lot of Jags stock this year. I have Etienne, I have T-Law in a couple of different leagues. So we're going all in on Florida.
Don't you love this comeback for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Zoo, is this the prediction that you thought it was going to be?
All in is right. I think they have a solid quarterback that's only trending upwards, and they have a coaching staff that actually knows how to work to everybody's strength with the solid O-line. That's going to be a pretty dynamic offense this year.
They get to play the Colts and the Texans twice.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
If you
key.
really want to call it playing.
That's the biggest key. I have Jacksonville also winning. I'll round it out. Yeah, I think you just can't, look, the Colts you can't discount the talent that they have, like Shaq Leonard, especially. It's all on defense. Shaq Leonard, DeForest Buckner, Kenny Moore, but everything else on the team is so mediocre. It's crazy, and they're betting on Anthony Richardson to be an immediate impact, which is asking a lot. That's somebody I think that you have to really develop. All the talent's there, but Scott's been telling you from draft day that he's a bust.
Trash.
And you're asking him to do it without Jonathan Taylor. So then you have the Texans, who I think are actually going to be sneaky. I think they're going to be sneaky competitive. I love the additions that they made they were really gutsy getting C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson back-to-back. Yes, Sue?
Is Anthony Richardson going to be the leading rusher on that team?
Yes.
If Taylor keeps holding out, absolutely. He has no choice. His arm is trash. He has to run.
I mean, I don't think Taylor comes back to them whatsoever. I think that 4-game holdout will give him a little bit of time to find some trade bait. Some team will get desperate enough. Some team in those first 4 weeks is going to see how trash their rushing game is, and they're going to make that push for him. And I think they wind up getting beat by teams like Houston. I think Houston might come in last in the division, and it'll benefit them for draft picks next year. But everything else, they got a really young, underrated core, and I like DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to be a good head coach for them. The Titans, they didn't change too much, but they made some really low-key good additions in Andre Dillard and Sean Murphy-Bunting from Tampa Bay. They drafted Peter Skoronski, who I really like and thought was perfect to be a Chicago Bear. And that shores up their very tough, talented offense and defense if Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill can stay healthy. And you have the problem with the receiving core for that team. I don't even remember who's there anymore. I think Robert Woods. Treylon Burks.
DeAndre Hopkins is there now.
Holy shit, I forgot D-Hop went there. Why?
You got Malik.
Yeah,
But
beats me.
yeah, Jags is still the most promising team, especially
Sure.
if T-Law continues to ascend like he's been. Like he's been on the great path that you've been hoping for, and that defense has a lot of young potential talents that could take over. So I like Jacksonville. I'm going Jacksonville there in the AFC South. I think they win at like 9 wins or something, about 9 wins, maybe even 8 and 9, but still
They'll be
a
over
solid
500, but not by much.
Oh yeah, right.
I think the AFC South is going to be more fascinating next year.
Oh, for sure.
Because of all the points that you just said and all of them having very high draft picks.
They're on a really good young revolution in the AFC South. That's going to be fun for a long time. Now, another team that's revolution kind of began a few years ago, and now we're in the midst of it, the AFC East. Excuse me. My God.
The Beast.
The AFC Beast. You got so many storylines. Aaron Rodgers going to Luis's Jets. You have the Miami Dolphins trying to keep Tua healthy. The Buffalo Bills in their window. The Patriots is Bill Belichick past his prime. Scott, tell me the answer. Who's going to win this division? What's happening in this division?
Yeah, I don't expect much from the Patriots. They're definitely going to be number 4 of that 4. But the other 3 have a very good shot. I think it comes down to injuries and if they're going to catch heat and just keep up that momentum. I have all 3. I have the Jets and the Bills kind of flirting around with that 10-11 win mark, and then the Dolphins at like 9. But I think one thing to really remember is that all 4 of the AFC East teams have some of the most difficult schedules this year with who they're playing. So it's not going to come down to just who's going to be able to beat out each other in the division, but who can actually win outside of the division as well. But
the NFC East.
But I'm gonna throw a curveball. I'm taking the Jets.
Ooh, look at that.
Taking the Jets.
I
think the Bills have traditionally always been that team that gets to the top of Mount Everest, but they never actually, they just skid backwards. They never actually get there, kind of thing. And I think they've just been flirting with that for too many years now, and I think it's finally going to catch up with them this year.
All right. Luis, do I need to ask you who you're taking to win the AFC?
Dolphins.
Listen, it's going to be a fish fry. No. I obviously I sort of agree there. I think the Bills take a step back this year. I do. I think they like you said, they've just been on. They just I don't know, man. Anytime you go into the season and the quarterback and your number 1 wide receiver are like correcting themselves on what's going on in the team on Twitter and back and forth and the coach. And then, you never, if we're going to go conspiracy theory with Mar Hamlin from last year, they had a huge and emotional ride last year and they still couldn't get it done. They had the biggest emotional push of any football team probably ever, and they still couldn't get that shit done. So I have the Bills 3rd, I have the Pats 4th, and I have obviously the Dolphins in 2nd and the Jets winning.
You are right about DeMar Hamlin. Like that emotional push is like one of the biggest fumbles by a team. Like that they had everything going for them in that playoff game and just let it fall to shit. Zoo, who are you taking in the AFCs?
Okay. I mentioned earlier that I only have 2 brain cells that are fighting for 3rd place right now. One of them has been thinking about this segment all day. And before I knew how we were going to play it out, I was trying to think of who would be the division leader, and I was thinking of a backup as like the highest wild card contender. What I came down to is that for the AFC East and the NFC East, I could not just pick one runner-up. It had to be 2. For the AFC East, with a healthy Tua, I feel like the Dolphins are going to take it. The 2 behind them are the Bills because they're falling off a little bit, but that still makes them, like, them falling off is still them being able to win a playoff game. And then the Jets, I feel like next year they're Super Bowl caliber, but this year is going to be learning curve. So I see the potential in them making it to the playoffs. I don't know how far the push is going to be. So with a healthy Tua, I feel like the Dolphins are the highest chance of winning the division and making a push in the playoffs.
I like it. I like it. Look, I can't disagree with like really anything that we're saying on all of this, but like I would go with you. I think it's going to be neck and neck between the Jets and the Dolphins for who takes this division. I agree with all of you. I think Buffalo is taking a step back. I think the window is really closing there, and they could not clinch it. Look, the most fascinating one to me is the Patriots and how the mighty have fallen from that dynasty.
The mighty fall.
Do we hate it though?
No, we don't hate it. I love
Okay.
it. I love
Just
it.
making sure we're on the same page.
I hate their new uniforms. I hate everything about them. I'm glad this
New
is happening
uniforms.
to them. Yeah, I know. But
What?
the
What?
it's I my bold prediction is I think this is Bill Belichick's last year there. I think he'll wind up somewhere else. I think low key, watch out for him in Washington. But I could
No.
see.
Don't you dare.
I think this is Belichick's last year in New England. I think they're going to have an awful season. I hate what they do on offense because I really think Mac Jones can be a great quarterback if he has the pieces built around him, sort of like Kirk. I think he's like Kirk Cousins. And what you have with Kirk in Minnesota is perfect. That's what they need from Mac Jones. But they only added a decrepit Ezekiel Elliott who, was a running back, and then he finished his Dallas career as a center. And Juju Smith-Schuster, who is, all right. But you add all your talent to the defense, and they'll be great. But it's the same problem that you had with Brady when he left. It's just not going to do it. I think the Bills' window is just about closed. They lost a big defensive piece in Tremaine Edmonds, and now you're relying on Von Miller to return to form and hope Trey White can hold down the secondary. Offense also feels like it could be unstable because there's all the Stephon Diggs drama and tension that's building up. Gabe Davis can't seem to take that next step. The Jets, obviously we know everything there is to know about the Jets. They're going to be solid. You got Aaron Rodgers. I think this is a big comeback season for him. But the Dolphins are just supremely talented. And they only added on to that supreme talent with, somebody who could be argued as the best corner in the league or was one of the best corners in the league just a year and a half ago in Jalen Ramsey. And you pair him up with Xavier Howard and the rising superstar and safety Javon Holland. You got the defensive stars and Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, David Long. The offense is already powerful enough. You don't have to say anything. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Waddle, baby, Waddle, baby, Waddle, baby, Waddle.
Baby Waddle.
But then you might even possibly add Jonathan Taylor. It all just relies on Tua staying healthy there in Miami, and I don't trust that. That's the thing.
Keep your name out his mouth.
They had to teach Tua how to fall this offseason, and Dolphins fans were incredibly happy when they saw it in a preseason game. I don't trust that. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going with him not on an MVP run, but at least like a Pro Bowl caliber play this season. That's all you need there with the Jets. Give me the Jets to win that division.
There you go. Listen, the
I
Bills
think
won.
Rodgers is going to play flag football.
The Bills got their Super Bowl. They got a new stadium approved. That's all they needed.
That's true. And they're not moving to Toronto. That's all that matters, Buffalo fans. Look, we move and we finish out the AFC with the AFC West. Always traditionally was a competitive division, but who knows what it could be now. It's been a little bit of fall off the last couple of years. Scott, we love talking about the AFC West. We always love asking, are the Raiders for real? I think we have the answer this year. I don't think we need to ask it. But tell me about the rest of the AFC West.
When you said the R in rest, I thought you were going to say, tell us about the Raiders. And I was going to tell you absolutely not. And I was going to politely excuse myself off this podcast for the rest of the night. So thank you for not saying Raiders. I think the West is, in my eyes, is kind of like the North. It's the Chiefs. And I know the last couple seasons when me and you have this discussion as far as who we're picking for the AFC West, I always say the Chargers. So I'm going to do some reverse psychology, and I'm not going to pick the Chargers this year. I'm going to pick the Chiefs and go super chalk with my pick.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for not going Chargers again. They burned you. Now this will be the year that they do it.
Brandon Staley.
Luis, who do you have in the AFC West?
Look, I for some reason I think this is a regression year for a lot of teams, so I am not picking the Chiefs. I'm not picking the Chiefs. The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from the sea with a rollicking song. He sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. And yes, that means I'm picking the Raiders.
Wow.
What?
The Raiders with Jimmy porn star Garoppolo getting so much porn star ass in Vegas that he miraculously figures out a way to get the ball to Devontae, to OG17, and that running back. The Chiefs take a step back with no big dick, Chris. The Chargers are not ready for prime time. Hyperextended knee for Kelsey. It's the Raiders this year. It's the Raiders' year. And fans from Oakland to Los Angeles will be celebrating, as well as a few in Vegas, I'm assuming.
Poor Derek Carr.
I wasn't expecting a Raiders pick. I wasn't expecting that, and I don't think Scott was, with the way he just like leveled into the Raiders at the start. Scott, do you have a quick rebuttal to that?
The Raiders aren't for real. No, I have. If you ask me any team in the NFL that I have the least amount of faith in, it's always going to be the Raiders, because I think over the years I've always been high and bullish on them as kind of like that dark horse team to kind of come out of nowhere. And every year that I do that, they always burn me. So it's just a personal vendetta at this point that I don't want to give them any props for anything.
The Cardinals is that team for me this year.
I'll just say this. The autumn wind is a Raider pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you around and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Damn, that really does sound like a perfect description of Jimmy G in Vegas.
Get a Raiders Saints Super Bowl.
Wait,
where's the Super Bowl this year? Where is the Super Bowl this year? It's in Vegas?
I think I think it is in Vegas this year, because it was Arizona last year, I believe.
My God.
Oh my.
Well, we both know how I feel about conspiracy theories with the NFL, and it seems to me that like when these Super Bowl teams have a game in their stadium, they tend to end up going. You had the Buccaneers win it at home a couple years ago. Now you have the Raiders. They lost a lot of money when COVID happened, because that's when the stadium opened up, so they didn't get a lot of revenue. So they're trying to make that money back at some point.
Now hold on,
this is like growing grass in the desert.
There's promise to this being a wild NFL season, because you remember we're in the middle of a writers' strike. Pay the writers. Pay the writers, pay the actors. We're in the middle of a writers' strike, so we don't have a script for this NFL season, as far as we know. Unless Aaron Sorkin, he prepped something ahead of time. But
that sounds like we're going to get some very interesting press conferences this year.
Jimmy G's going to be the first quarterback to go from a Thursday night game to the Adult Video Awards in the same night.
Zoo, who do you have winning the AFC West?
So, the Raiders did come to mind at some point. Simply because I feel like the whole AFC West is going to be mid this year. I think the Raiders really just have to see if they can tie things together, because they've had so much quarterback confusion lately. For someone like Devontae Adams to willingly want to go to Vegas and still not be able to do anything with him, just kind of questions like the direction that you're going in. I feel like the Chargers have the weapons, but they don't have the brain power to put it together. Like how they haven't been able to make a run in this time is quite baffling. And the Broncos, okay, you have your old coach. What's his name? Sean
Payton.
Sean Payton, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You have Sean Payton, you have Russell Wilson. Do you really have that much confidence in the rest of your structure outside of that? I feel like this is going to be an experimental year for the Broncos, and then we'll see what happens next year, but I don't see them having a huge push with Sean Payton this year. And then with the Chiefs, I got my burgundy tinted glasses and thinking that Bieniemy was a big part of why they were able to do so much with not that talented of a wide receiver room. And I wonder how much of that is going to carry on with just Andy Reid, and with how much Mahomes gets hurt, especially on his ankles, and with Kelsey being hurt at the start of this year, and with them having relatively the same wide receiver room. I could see all of these teams really fighting at the last minute to get that division win, and the Chiefs barely getting it.
Yeah. I can't disagree too much. Like, I initially, going through my analysis for each division, like, I had Kansas City kind of steamrolling, and now I've taken a little bit of a step back because I'm with you a little bit with the burgundy colored glasses and EB and how that affects that offense, but it's just like something seems to be like you get those vibes with teams every year, and the Chiefs already are starting with Chris Jones drama. Their star defensive tackle, he's not showing up, and there's drama and tensions around that. You have Travis Kelce, the Hall of Fame tight end, hyperextending his knee, and it's a hyperextension, but who knows? Like, that feels like something that could linger or get worse. Like, it just feels like things are tumbling a little bit. Now, I have the Chiefs winning the division, but not as strongly as I had previously believed. I think it's going to be a little tight. I think even though Mahomes is only getting better, this team falls off a little bit. I have the Broncos actually coming in second with Sean Payton taking over there. Look, they're surprisingly solid looking. They made some good O-line additions, and obviously you add a Super Bowl winning coach with Payton. Now it just all depends on if the game hasn't passed Peyton by, if he's not still in, media la-la land, kind of like Urban Meyer was in Jacksonville, and if he can fix Russell Wilson, who I do personally think he has some gas left. Broncos Nation, ride on.
Let's ride.
Yeah, let's ride. The Raiders, I still think they're going to come in dead last because I don't trust Josh McDaniels. I don't think he's a good coach. I think he is the idiot that we believe Nick Sirianni is. And I think that they did good in adding Tyree Wilson in the draft as a complimentary pass rusher to Max Crosby. But the rest of their defense is still a mess. And you have Josh Jacobs. He's a star at running back. But I don't think he's going to be there the entire season. I think that he does become a trade piece at some point, especially once they start floundering. They added wide receiver Jacoby Myers from New England. He's a partner to Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, and that's solid. But I just can't trust porn star Jimmy to lead them far. I mean, he might thrive, like Luis is saying, being in Vegas and around all of that. Like, this could be like the super Jimmy that he needed. Like, it was either this or Miami that was going to bring it out of Jimmy, and you put him in Vegas. Holy shit. So we'll see. But I don't even know if he'll be healthy enough to keep it up. Then you have
he'll be powered by Poontang.
He'll be able to keep it up, Reid, don't you worry.
Look, I'll just finish it out. The Chargers, they seem like they're going all in on this season, and I think it results in a firing of Brandon Staley and their GM, Tom Telesco.
Yes.
They moved all their money to next year. They're trying to go in on all their expensive aging talents to keep around Herbert. They added some low-key greats with Eric Kendricks, the linebacker from Minnesota, and they drafted TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnson, who I think is a low-key Offensive Rookie of the Year nominee. And Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, he's an upgrade over Joe Lombardi, but I don't trust Brandon Staley. I don't trust him whatsoever. I think it fails on them drastically, and it just results in another Chiefs division win. So, look, that's the AFC. I don't know if you guys have wild cards from them. I do. I actually have Baltimore as a wild card team. I have Miami Dolphins as the other wild card team, and low-key, I got the Cleveland Browns as a wild card team from the AFC. I'll dive more into that once we get into the full playoff predictions. I'll let you guys dive into that too. But we'll move over to the NFC and clinch this out before we move into the full spoiler prediction. So the NFC North is a little bit interesting. You got rising teams like the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings. Who knows? They were the surprise team last year. And the Green Bay Packers. We literally know nothing about them. We don't know what they are without Aaron Rodgers. So, Scott, Tell me about the NFC North. Who's winning it all there?
I know from conversations that I've had with individuals on this podcast offline and people that I know close to me that it sounds like the NFL universe is just very bullish on the Detroit Lions. But I am going to hold firm on the prediction that I made for the Super Bowl all the way back in January, my super duper late prediction, but only half of it because the AFC pick, that's not happening. I'm riding high with the Vikings.
Oh,
Okay. You like that. Luis, who you got winning? Who's the next king of the North?
Listen, a lot of the talk is, oh, what if the Jets actually suck and then the Packers are good? And I say, why not both? So I'm picking the Packers in the North.
You got belief in Jordan Love there?
Yeah, man. I mean, why not? We have a not too distant history of the Packers drafting a quarterback way before their current quarterback is ready to retire, having them sit for 3 years and learn, and all of a sudden balancing out. I'm basing this on just seeing how much Zach Wilson has improved with just having Aaron Rodgers there for 2 months. So if he's been following him around and learning from him for 3 freaking years, he's got good wide receivers. He's got Romeo, he's got Christian Watson, he's got 2 stud running backs that one of them they were going to cut and trade because they wanted Jonathan Taylor. So why not? Why not both? Why not have? I'm going real green this year, so I think the Packers. Win that division.
I love that we introduced Luis originally as the confident Jets fan. Especially we got an overly confident Jets fan once they got Aaron Rodgers, and I could almost feel his inner thoughts when I asked him about Jordan Love. So you think Jordan Love's going to be good? Fuck it. Why not? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You know, he was following around our quarterback, the GOAT. So, fuck it. Why not? I like it. Zoo, who's winning the NFC North?
just off of Luis real quick. You said that you're just feeling green today. It's going to be Jets versus Eagles. Does that mean it's going to be Eagles versus Packers in the national championship?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought that deep. I have another deepest thought that I have right
now. Yeah, I guess I'll be mixing this up a little bit because I've been struggling between the Lions and the Bears. I feel like the Vikings are very similar to the Bills, where if they haven't made it this far yet, there's going to be a little bit of a fall off. Packers, I feel like, are going to have a up and down season. There's just going to be a lot of trying to figure things out and getting their chemistry right. They might have a little push for a little bit, but ultimately I don't really see them going to the playoffs. But the Lions have had a decent trend upwards, and I feel like the chemistry is really great in the room right now. So that could be potential. But then with just what the Bears have done in terms of, trading their pick and Justin Fields getting a little more confident, I feel like I feel like the Lions is a safe bet, but if the Bears can get it together with the weapons and skill sets that they have, they're the most likely to make it, with the Lions being super tight as a wild card.
So you're taking Chicago?
Yeah.
All right. Whichever one of you bastards got "Oh my" in there. Well,
that was me.
Oh yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, you get that late. Look, I love that Scott took the Vikings, Luis took the Packers, Zoo took the Bears, and guess who I took? I'm taking the Detroit Lions.
Fear of Emily was kind of a factor in picking the Bears too.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, and I'm thinking of that now.
It's a great opportunity for one of those lunch bets, because I think whoever wins this one should buy everybody else lunch.
I'm down for it.
I take that.
Yeah, yep. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I believe in Detroit. I'll tell you why. Look, the Bears, they made great additions all over. They got Justin Fields, a legit number one wide receiver, with DJ Moore from Carolina. They got a little bit of running back and O-line help, and then you got studs at linebacker through free agency with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who I think really fit that coach's Matt Eberflus, his Indianapolis system. It just all depends on if Fields can continue to grow and to stay healthy. And I don't think they're going to run him the same way that they did last year, but I just don't. I think they're a year off. I think this is like Buffalo when they first got that second year of Josh Allen, and they started doing all the right pieces. They added John Ross and Cole Beasley. They got him, some good pieces to surround him. But I don't think it's all there just quite yet. The Packers, I think, are super talented all over, and I really like Matt LaFleur as a head coach. I think they'll miss Rodgers, but not the friends he took, like Randall Cobb. And if Love can just be competent as a starter, I think it's a playoff team. The Vikings, to me, they feel like they're in a weird in-between spot. And you've lost a lot of aging starters for younger pieces like wide receiver Jordan Addison. I think him and Jefferson and the newly paid TJ Hawkinson at tight end, there'll be enough for Kirk to produce plenty, but it doesn't feel like the team that they had last year. But maybe I'll be wrong because I wasn't expecting last year from them. It's the Lions. I love the Lions additions, despite the suspensions for gambling, which is, I guess, why not? They'll be back. The rookies they drafted, like Brian Branch, the safety, Jack Campbell, the linebacker, they feel like real good Dan Campbell additions. And then you get Jahmyr Gibbs at running back and Hendon Hooker as that quarterback in waiting. I like Gibbs and their free agent running back David Montgomery is big upgrades over DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Their wide receiver core and their O-line are super solid. And I think Goff can be stable around them. Obviously, he led the Rams to a Super Bowl. I like the Lions too much. I'm drinking the Dan Campbell Kool-Aid. I'm down for it. So we move from
that wide receiver. I'm saying Ramon, whatever his name.
Oh yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah,
part of the most fascinating family of St. Browns. Yeah, I love the Lions. Now, Scott. Let's go to your homeland, the NFC South, and we can talk about this barren wasteland, or we'll see if it's a little more competitive than we thought. Tell me about the NFC South. Who's winning it, Scott?
Nobody. Nobody's gonna win it. No, this is gonna be whoever comes out of this. It's gonna either be just barely a 500 team, or they're gonna be a below 500 team. They're simply gonna get it because they're the NFC South champs. But if you look at all the teams kind of as a whole, we've already talked about my expectations for the Buccaneers. It's virtually non-existent, so they're out of question. So then I look and see who's got the most stable quarterback right now or the most experienced, and it's New Orleans. I mean, you got Derek Carr, who's really solid. You even got Jameis Winston still there, kind of backing him up just in case something were to happen. Michael Thomas pending injury. I know they're going to be without Alvin Kamara for a while due to suspension, but they got Jamal Williams from Detroit, who has been lighting it up in preseason and in camp right now. So I'm just gonna have to go with the Saints.
All right, Luis, who do you got?
Listen, this team has picked a top 10 offensive talent over the last 3 years, and somehow has decided not to give them the ball. Because they just wanted to run it 32 times with Cordarrelle Patterson and Tyler Algier. And even though there's a lot of question marks around the quarterback, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, in a weak division where you have, the Bucks and the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They got to play them twice. I see a lot of unders, but I'm taking the Falcons.
Okay.
I don't hate it.
Hot Lanta.
Falcons with Heineke at the helm.
Well, yeah. Okay, Zoo. Let's go to you. What do you got in the NFC South? You taking Hot Atlanta with Heineke?
Sadly, I will not be.
Oh.
If you could just trade a division leader for just another wild card pick for the NFC South, that would be ideal. But I feel like because the Saints have a pretty well-established defense, and I feel like the Derek Carr, Chris Olave connection is going to be something special this year. That's what's going to set them apart. Buccaneers, I feel like there's just a lot of questions on their offense. They have the weapons, but do they have the passer to get all of that utilized? Do they have the system to get all of that utilized? And I am very excited for the Panthers. They have a new quarterback. They have Frank Reich. I think this is going to be an experimental year for them. This is going to be one that's going to be very exciting next year. But the Saints seem to be the most stable of the four of them right now.
No, I like it all. This division's interesting to me. I think I agree with Scott about Tampa Bay. And the more I looked at the season and started simulating games, I think the Bucs have all the talent. But if you're leading with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask and a meh coach and Todd Bowles, I think you'll get maybe a few wins and just rolled over everywhere else. They lost too much. They lost too much good offensive line talent to really help Baker or Trask there. I think it's all going to fall apart this year, and you're going to really get into that rebuild. But again, Bucs fans can be happy with it. They just got 3 years of heavenly post crab legs wonder with Tom Brady. Yeah. Hey.
Man, listen, man. You eat the dinner, and then the bill comes due.
That's right.
It wasn't his fault. It was set up.
The Carolina Panthers, they have the Avengers of NFL coaching staffs led by Frank Reich coming over there from Indianapolis. But it's a really questionable offensive line and a questionable wide receiver core to me. And adding all that to work with your rookie quarterback and Bryce Young, it's not very promising, even if the defense has some talent. But even then, you've got tension and drama there because Brian Burns, their star pass rusher, decided not to show up on the first week, and he wants his contract, possibly a trade.
Can we talk about how when they were selling the farm last year, they were like, we're not going to do anything with DJ Moore. We're not going to do anything with Burns. These are going to be the staples of our organization. We're going to make we're going to build around them. They're the only two people that are staying. They are all that matters. And they fucked up both those people.
They were getting first-round offers, apparently, from the Rams for Brian Burns, which I don't know where the fuck the Rams think that those first-round picks are coming from. Those must be like they must
20,
be using
30 pick.
They're using Lakers first-round picks. They're sending those over to Charlotte or something. I don't know what's happening with that, but yeah, that's fascinating to watch how that'll go down. And I agree with Luis. I like Atlanta in that I love how aggressive they got in free agency, especially on defense. They signed Jesse Bates from Cincinnati, who I think is going to be perfect to help out their star corner and AJ Terrell. And they got some pass rushing help, some aging pass rushing help, but still good help in Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree. Their O-line is really solid for the run game, which helps in when you add a rookie star out of Texas and Bijan Robinson. And you really just need Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke to step up and just be competent in order to compete in that division, which I think they can. But I think Derek Carr is a wildly good improvement on a Jameis Winston and especially an Andy Dalton for the Saints. And I think it helps that Jameis even comes back as the backup. And you add in, on top of what's already a solid defense, a rookie stud in Clemson defensive lineman Brian Breesy. And that helps out a very talented team that just needs coaching in Dennis Allen to take advantage of a weak division and, you know, the remnants of Sean Payton's build. I think all of these great teams, if the coach retires at a certain time, boom, you've got at least a couple years with whatever fucking coach is there. You saw it with the Cowboys after Jimmy Johnson. I think it'll happen with Saban and Bama. This is happening right now in New Orleans post Sean Payton. I think Dennis Allen just needs a little bit of competence, and the Saints win this division, no problem. Now, I'm going to move a little bit past because the NFC West is not that interesting to me this year. So I want to go with them, and I'm going to close out with our favorite division here for, me and Zoo. Beast. We're going to talk the NFC West first. And Scott, I want you to tell me who's winning the NFC West and why.
The team that I have winning the NFC West is the Seattle Seahawks.
Gino.
Because in Gino we trust. I know the Niners have a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. We saw how great Brock Purdy was lighting it up towards the end of the year last year. They've already gotten rid of Trey Lance to Dallas. They got Sam Darnold, Mr. Lego Head himself. Pending any kind of regression from Brock, which I mean, it's kind of to be expected at this point. I know they're kind of banged. I know Kittle's kind of banged up right now. Bose is eventually going to go down at some point in the year with his injuries that he seems to be getting every single year. But I'm so bullish on Geno Smith. And I think Pete Carroll, like you said, with Bill Belichick for different reasons, I think this might be one of his last years, if not the last one. So making one final push before he leaves is probably going to end up happening for this season.
Luis, who do you have in the West?
The West is going to be won by the Niners. Because Sam Darnold is the backup quarterback. They got rid of Trey Lance, who they were bullied into taking over Mac Jones. And Brock Purdy is Tom Brady 2.0, going from Mr. Irrelevant to possible MVP or Super Bowl winner. They got Run DMC there, McCaffrey happening. So I think I like the Hawks for second, but I think the Niners will take the West.
Zuhair Ali, who do you have winning the NFC West?
I pick the Arizona Cardinals to get the first pick in the draft.
Oh, okay, there we go.
No, I'm gonna roll with the Niners as well. It breaks my heart to say because anytime that I'm not rooting for Washington teams, I'm rooting for Seattle teams just because I have a bunch of family out there and I refuse to root for Dallas. And I do feel like that it's going to be pretty tight. I feel like it is going to come down to the wire. But I think I trust Shanahan's ability to scheme more than Carroll's. I feel like the talent that he has available to him is more elite than what they can get out of. I feel like Seattle has a better quarterback situation and the Niners have more elite weapons. So it's just a matter of who's going to be able to put it together better. And I think Niners slightly have the edge over Seattle in that regard.
There we go. Okay, so...
And I still think Anthony Richardson would have been a great fit for Seattle as a backup.
I would have loved that. I would have loved him, and I wanted Hendon Hooker in Seattle, too, to back up Geno. But Scott says in Geno we trust, and I learned my lesson last year. I doubted the future Hall of Famer Geno Smith far too much last year, and it consistently bit me in the ass. But I'm still not taking the Seahawks to win the division this year. I'm still doubting him a little bit. Look. I agree with you. I think consistency is key with that team, and I think that's what's really helped Geno succeed with Seattle as he's been there for some years. He's gotten the trust, and they made really quiet but solid additions all over without losing much talent. They got back their Hall of Fame captain, linebacker Bobby Wagner after a year in L.A., it just depends if Geno can replicate at all what he did last year or just remain competent. And I think the consistency will pay off. I think they have young talent on the O-line. Kenneth Walker's he's one of the most agile freaks at running back I've seen. And you got a ridiculously strong wide receiver core that you add Jackson Smith and Jigba to, the rookie. I don't think Geno can replicate it. I think it'll be figured out a little bit this year, and those strong defenses like San Francisco's will take advantage of it. Arizona, oof. LA Rams, they are that perfect example of what Luis said of having the great dinner and the bill always comes due. That's the monkey's paw. That's that curse is happening to LA. They went all in on that Super Bowl, and then boom, you have some super talent scattered around the team and a great head coach in Sean McVay, but the losses that they took in free agency, the injuries, the aging, it continues to hamper them, and it's scary, and I think they'll be trading pieces by midseason. I think they're just going to have to scrap it, go for a rebuild. It's the 49ers, that I want to believe in, and I want to believe in Brock Purdy, who I think is a great story no matter what my mom says.
Fuck you.
And she talks about him faking that injury in the NFC Championship game because he was scared. I don't know. But I admire Kyle Shanahan, and they just took some losses on the O-line, and the talent's still there. I think they win it by default, but I don't think they're going to be as strong as they were last year. But no matter what, I still have to take San Francisco. We move on, finally. Ooh, we have a bonus. We have bonus analysis from Zuhair Ali. He thinks that Matt Stafford is done after this year, and Kirk Cousins becomes a Ram. I could see it. L.A. Kirk. Oh, my God. Those dad plaids are going to fucking rock out over there.
Big Kirko.
Big Kirko bangs. Look, we move on to, what's it called, Zoo? The NFC
Beast.
We move to the NFC Beast. And Scott, you're going to launch us off. Tell us who's winning this division that some would call the best in football again.
I'm going to keep it very brief because I'm going to yield my time to the individuals whose team is actually in the NFC East, and I'm just going to take the safest bet possible and go with the Eagles.
Luis, I don't know how to give that Philly pick any shit. Get out of here, Scott.
Listen, from bottom to top, it goes Giants, Manders, Cowboys, and Eagles. Eagles to win.
Why am I even giving you that sound?
Fuck Scott. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's what you all get. Say we'll change it up. We'll go.
Fuck Scott.
Luis.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Fuck Luis. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, picking the Eagles. Get out of here, Zoo. Give me something better.
I think you're gonna have to give me the fuck Scott too.
God damn it!
Fuck Scott.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are going to be the one who kills the streak of no team taking the division at the same time. They just have more structure than any of these teams dream to have. I feel like the Commanders are going to be trending upwards. I feel like they are going to be very tight. I think it's similar for the Niners and Seattle, that I feel like the Commanders and Eagles are going to be neck and neck, but the Commanders are just going to make the playoff, make the wild card, while the Eagles take the division. But Sirianni as a play caller is going to be a big factor. I don't know how the Giants did as well as they did last year, but I want to believe that it was a fluke, and I think the Cowboys are trending downwards this year. Just because of how much issues they had over the offseason. I think Dan Quinn is still going to keep a good defense, but their offense isn't going to do that great. And I think Commanders are going to – it really comes down to the fact that we just have such a difficult schedule. I feel like we are trending upwards. I feel like the offense is going to be dynamic and the defense is going to be a problem for teams, but the schedule is going to make it difficult. It's going to make it difficult for the Eagles too, but the Eagles are just barely going to make it on that division.
You know what? I respect that.
Fuck you.
But
you know how much, I mean, your mom already said that to me for picking Patrick Mahomes, so that probably was.
She says it every day.
Was that you that took Mahomes with the second pick?
Yeah, because everybody was talking about it so much, I was like, fuck it.
Listen, nobody else wants to do it. That's what I'm here for. This is my show anyway. So you know what? I'm wearing the jersey out here. Look, listen.
Do it.
I'm going to give you the analysis. The Giants, they took really good steps last year, and they made some solid additions this offseason. They got Bobby Okereke, who's the linebacker from the Colts, who I'll always think of just because of Pat McAfee. And they got some good – they got Jalen Hyatt, Paris Campbell, Darren Waller from the Raiders in a trade, and they retained their starters with DJ, Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, delicious Dimes, Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Hodgins, Darian Slayton. And I like their coach, but I just can't help thinking that their talent is strong, but not strong enough in this division.
Who's their tight end? Darren Waller?
Darren Waller. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Dallas, And they seem overwhelming on defense, and I think they are with the return of Dan Quinn as defensive coordinator, and they add a former All-Pro and Stephon Gilmore to partner with Trayvon Diggs at corner, and which I think it's a perfect partnership. I think it's going to be great for both of them. I think there's still a lot of juice left in Gilmore. And then you get a low-key, sneaky wide receiver addition in Brandon Cooks somehow that goes under the radar a little bit. That's going to help out CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. And they added backup quarterback Trey Lance from the 49ers to spark a fire under Dak Prescott, I think. And I think that'll really do its job. I think Dak is going to have a great season. But can Mike McCarthy overcome his playoff Mike McCarthyisms, especially without Kellen Moore? That's the thing. Mike McCarthy, great regular season coach. You get him to the playoffs. And then you got Philly. You got Philly, who obviously they're overwhelming. They're great. They lost some good contributors, though. I think replace them well with DeAndre Swift at running back, who I think is going to fit Philly's offense better than he did in Detroit. The rookie Georgia defensive lineman and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith to go with the other Georgia defensive players and Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. But they lost both of their strong coordinators to head coaching jobs. And I think this team is still talented enough overall and hyped by Nick Sirianni and their MVP contender Jalen Hurts to be a title contender. But then you have who? The Washington left hand up Commanders, title to be determined for, a little while we have new ownership. But that's the thing. You have all the morale that you're hearing in my voice with new ownership, some great additions in, a new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, rookie corner, Emmanuel Forbes, a playmaker. He's a ball stealer, a ball hawk, somebody who I had no idea who he was before they drafted him, and then I became all in on him. And you have all the potential that you need in second-year quarterback Sam Howell to make a big, dramatic run. Maybe he could be the next Mahomes.
Airwolf, baby.
I heard a baby. Where was that baby? That baby's rooting for Washington, too, because, look, you have what you need here. The O-line is The linebackers are And Ron Rivera's decision-making still gives me a lot of pause. And I believe in them, but it's unfortunate, and I have all this hype, but I'm still going with Philly to win the division.
What?
Wow.
I'm so sorry for listening.
Riverboat Ron, he debated you.
Man.
What?
I have Washington
about
finishing
plot
with about
twist.
8 or 9 wins. They'll be third in the
What?
division.
Howl at the moon.
But they'll beat the Giants.
I still got 10 or 11 wins for Commanders.
Look,
Damn, that's a homer right there.
that's that's our NFC picks right there. And just to throw them in there, I have my wild card picks of the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, and obviously the Dallas Cowboys on there. And now we're going to go to just spoil the entire season. And we'll move through them real quick. I just want you guys' predictions, if you have them, for any awards. So I'm going to say MVP. No, we're not going to do that. You got to save it. You got to make it more dramatic than that. Comeback player of the year. Is it obvious? Who do we have? Scott, comeback player of the year?
It comes down to two. I think the most obvious one is DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
Simply if you just were to play it down. I mean, the dude died on the field. So, that's just going to happen. But I honestly think the best candidate is going to end up being TJ Watt.
Ooh. Okay. That's a
I mean,
different
that
one,
last
right?
full season he had fully healthy. What was it? 22.5 sacks, tied the record.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes back full steam, stays healthy. I mean, there's no reason why his production should go down.
Luis, who do you have?
Is Aaron Rodgers eligible? I mean, because he had his subpar season. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go.
Fuck it, we'll say him. The GOAT.
Demar Hamlin's probably a lock, but you know what? I'm going to go into Scott's backyard. I'm going to say Baker Mayfield.
Ooh.
Give you a little hope for the year. Give you a little hope. Give you a little nugget.
Zoo, who's winning comeback player of the year?
I think there's a certain predator who's trying to fight for a contract right now and prove to
Here
the
we go.
world that his legs are functional and that the only stinger is going to be that Chase Young is going to get Comeback Player of the Year.
Say it to me louder.
I'm going to just say really quick, that's not where my brain went when you said Predator getting Comeback Player of the Year.
No.
I was going to say, you're all in on Deshaun?
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson getting it?
Making a comeback from suspension?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great script writing for them.
Harvey Weinstein Comeback Player of the Year award.
Oh, God, it reminded me of that Parks and Rec blooper reel about Chris Pratt saying comeback.
Yep.
Kim Kardashian? I don't think she counts. No, I think I saw a little cum on her back.
I'm gonna round it out. I'm gonna go DeMar Hamlin for Comeback Player of the Year, but I think that Calvin Ridley of the Calvin Ridley Memorial Betting Slip will also be a good contender.
We did come
I think
back.
it's a really good contender, but I think especially for Comeback Play of the Year, I have to put myself in the realm of like the reason why they're comeback, and I think coming back from a suspension.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like almost rewarding him at that point. Like they want to make sure it's slapped.
I mean, he didn't win the bet, so I mean, fuck it.
Well,
you give him something. If he had won the bet, no, he's not going to win Comeback Player of the Year. But if he lost the bet, yeah, shit, fuck it.
I think next year the whole AFC and NFC South will be the Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh no,
The South.
The South will rise again.
Rise up.
Oh, sorry, my Caucasian showing.
Oh, Coach of the Year. I have Luis's guy, Jets coach Rob Saleh, winning Coach of the Year. But I also have Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals, who I previously fired, also being in contention for it, and Mike Tomlin, who has actually surprisingly never won the award. So that's me for Coach of the Year. Scott?
You stole my thunder. I was going to go Tomlin.
Big Chief Burrito?
I'm going to go Arthur Smith.
Wow.
Arthur Smith is like the rare coach that looks like his name. He looks like an Arthur Smith. Zoo, who's winning Coach of the Year?
I like Saleh and Tomlin, but I think I'm going to go Campbell.
Yeah, brother.
You all bite them kneecaps off.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I unfortunately am going in Philly again with Jalen Carter. That spittle scared the shit out of me. I don't know why. But I'm also got Will Anderson of the Texans in contention for it. And Washington corner Emmanuel Forbes also in contention for the award. Scott, who do you have winning?
This name is going to sound familiar because we've already talked about it during this little segment, but I'm also going to be going with TJ Watt. He's going to get Defensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year.
Oh, he was not a rookie.
That surprised me too.
How in post-production, just edit that out. So for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I am actually going to go with Emmanuel Forbes.
Ooh. We stand. Luis, who do you have winning Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I was gonna go with Vance McDonald from the Will McDonald, the edge that the Jets drafted this year, but I don't think they're gonna go back to back with Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I'm gonna go with Chris Gonzalez from the Patriots, cornerback.
That was a good drop for them. Zoo, who's winning Defensive Rookie of the Year?
The praying mantis himself, Emmanuel Forbes.
Goddamn right.
I think his tackles are going to stun a lot of people.
He's surprisingly tough and a lot more of a ball hawk than I thought he was supposed to. Like he's been showing it off in practice, so I like that. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have in contention Bryce Young and Zay Flowers, the wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, but I also have to go with the crowd. It's pretty unanimous around all these different websites and everything that Bijan Robinson, the running back for the Falcons, wins. That's where I'm going to. Scott, do you differ?
A little bit. last 2 years has been wide receiver. Got Garrett Wilson winning it last year. You got Jamar Chase winning it the year before that. I don't think it's going to be a single one of these quarterbacks.
No.
Me and you have had side conversations how I feel about these quarterbacks. Bijan kind of worries me, especially even though in my eyes he's probably the best in that backfield. I think he's still going to be in the middle, like almost a 2 or 3 headed monster for running back in Atlanta. So I'm going to go with Zay Flowers from the Ravens.
He was looking good in the preseason.
Yeah,
like
giving that weapon to Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's going to be looking at a huge amount of production in that offense.
There we go. Luis, who's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I was going to go Bijan, but I think that I'm going to do a late switch and go Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh.
It's a solid one. It was a surprise pick by the Lions for me. Zoo. Finish
I don't
it.
think there's a single rookie quarterback that's in a situation to succeed right now. And I didn't give this too much thought, but after watching the joint practices, I think Zay Flowers is a good contender for that.
All right. Now, Defensive Player of the Year. Scott,
I got one for you.
Who do you have, Scott?
So,
Roll the tape.
insert previous statement here. No, we're going to be going with TJ Watt. He's going to be getting the Comeback Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Yeah, I'm keep.
I know, shock. It's the first time I've ever said that.
We'll keep it surprised.
Shocking.
Everybody. Oh, Luis, who's winning Defensive Player of the Year?
Let's go with Micah Parsons. Possibly breaking the sack record too on his way there.
I like it. Zoo.
Again, I've given this no thought whatsoever, but man just got a fresh contract. Let's give it to Daron Payne. Bring on the Payne.
Wow.
There's that Commanders fan I love, but it's easy it's easy confidence. He's not gonna say we're gonna win the division, but god damn it, we're gonna win everything else. We don't need the division title.
Could still win a playoff game.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year. I'm unfortunately going with Luis. I have to go with Micah Parsons. Dude's a wrecking ball. He's a beast all around. I still
demon.
He is a demon, and Luis can be happy. I've got Sauce Gardner in contention for it as well. I have T.J. Watt in contention for it, and a sneaky one, Roquan Smith, linebacker for the Ravens. I think he's gonna. He was thriving with them after getting traded there. I think he continues to do it.
I like Sauce. If my brain was working, I probably would have thought of that sooner.
Offensive Player of the Year. I am rolling with, because of my MVP picks, I want to go off a little bit different. So, Offensive Player of the Year, I actually have Christian McCaffrey winning. I have Lamar Jackson in contention and Tyreek Hill also in contention for it. Scott, who do you have winning Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's durability just worries me year in and year out. But I'm going to go with the person who's throwing Zay Flowers the ball, and I'm going with Lamar Jackson for Offensive Player of the Year.
Fair enough. Big Chief Burrito.
I am going to go with the sneaky fantasy MVP from the second half of last year, and somebody whose team got marginally better. And if he can take a marginal step up and keep running the ball and making some decent throws, Justin Fields might have a monster year.
Shout out to Emily Sissel. Zoo, who do you have winning Offensive Player of the Year?
I know I've made it very clear that my brain is not functional tonight, but even with 5 hours of sleep, I am very high on the Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers connection, and I think Garrett Wilson is going to be blowing us away this year.
I thought you were going to go with Curtis Samuel.
Maybe
Jahan Dotson.
Maybe if a couple, I did want to say that.
Running on 5 hours of sleep, I'm going with Santana Moss.
That's a great.
Well, let's make it very clear. It's 5 hours of sleep over 3 days.
Oh, yeah, that's even. Oh my God.
Listen, man, I was hosting karaoke till 1 a.m. last night, so
I was asleep.
I was doing sports photography for 3 days where my shift started at 8:30 a.m. and ended at 2:30 a.m. By the time I drove 30 minutes back to the hotel, showered, and slept, it was time to wake up again.
I got plenty of sleep.
I don't want to brag, but I woke
We're
up
good.
at 3:30 a.m. to drink half a bottle of limeade. So, just saying. MVP.
Someone cue the waterfalls.
MVP. I am gonna go with somebody. If I don't think this calf strain is too bad, I think this is his year. I think this is a big year for him. I'm going with Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. I think he's going to ball out this year. I think it's going to all come together for him. The O-line's really going to help do that for him. So give me Joe Burrow. I also have Lamar Jackson coming in kind of second. And I think who's going to be, I said he's got the fire lit under him. I got Dak Prescott in contention for that MVP this year. Scott, who do you have winning MVP?
You sure you want me to go now? Or you want me to save me for last? Because it's going to be a name I don't think anyone's going to say.
Luis, who do you have winning MVP?
I have Jalen Hurts.
Zoo?
I second that.
Because he's going to win.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
I second that.
You're going Jalen Hurts also?
Yeah.
All right. Scott, who is this player? Do we have any guesses as to who Scott is going to pick for MVP here?
Baker Mayfield.
God, no.
Derek Carr.
God, no.
Brees Hall.
The entire Las Vegas Raiders offense.
Oh, God,
Wait,
no.
hold on. Is it a defensive player?
No.
Is it a
He's
wide
not.
receiver?
Nope.
Is it Jordan Travis, FSU quarterback?
No, but he could get it.
Is it a quarterback?
Yeah, he could.
It is a quarterback.
Oh. AFC?
Nope. Your 2023 NFL MVP is the brunch time assassin himself, Big Kirko Banks, Kirk Cousins.
Captain Kirk?
Captain Kirk's gonna get it.
Yeah, he is.
Put a pin in it.
I like
It's gonna happen.
Okay, that's different. Okay, we'll go with that. Now,
Look at Zeus'
look at
face.
Zeus disgusted.
Zeus disgusted.
Confused.
Well, why are you confused, Scott? Why would he win it?
I think, well, for one, the NFC is vastly softer than the AFC as far as teams. You know, he has plenty of weapons with Justin Jefferson. We saw how much Alexander Madison can step up into that role when Dalvin Cook would go down. So there's really not that much of a drop off there. You got TJ Hawkinson, like I said earlier, stepping into that role as a starting tight end. He's got signed to a massive deal. And then you just look at his stats. He's thrown up for over 4,000 yards for the last 3 seasons, 30 touchdowns in each season. And I think with Justin Jefferson just being such a dynamic weapon on the outside, and they are my Super Bowl pick, I think he's going to be able to squeak it out. Surprise everybody.
Spoiler. I love it. Look, since we got there, let's just spoil the whole season. Let's spoil the whole thing. Let's get it all out there. So, Scott, you just launched it off. What are the playoffs looking? Who's winning the Super Bowl?
So the Super Bowl prediction that I had made, like I said, back in January, was the Minnesota Vikings facing off against the Indianapolis Colts. But we saw who the Colts drafted. We see all the turmoil going on right now in Indianapolis. I have zero faith in there. I'm going to be taking a thread from Luis for a second from saying the all green Super Bowl. I'm going with the all purple Super Bowl. It is going to be the Minnesota Vikings versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Sue's never looked more disgusted.
Confused. Because I don't have an answer and y'all's aren't helping.
Just look at Zoo. When in doubt, take Washington. Big Chief Burrito. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Who's doing what in the playoffs?
I give you my division winners. My wild cards are the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Titans in the AFC, and the Cowboys, Lions, and Seahawks in the NFC. But like I said before, I'm taking an all green Super Bowl. I'm taking the Eagles over the Jets.
Okay. Zoo.
Because just getting the Super Bowl will be our Super Bowl.
Zoo, do you have anybody? Who do you think could win the Super Bowl?
The sleep deprivation proclaims that the Dolphins will face the Niners.
I like to think that the sleep deprivation is going to win out on all of this. I feel like this is going to. I feel like yours is going to be the most accurate. Look, I went deep. I simulated pretty much every game, so I have kind of like a roundabout way that it could go. And wild card, I have the Miami Dolphins beating the Jaguars, the Jets beating the Ravens, the Chiefs beating the Browns, Dallas beating the Saints, Detroit beating the Bears, the 49ers beating the Vikings. Divisional round, I've got the Jets beating the Chiefs. I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the Miami Dolphins. I have the 49ers beating the Detroit Lions. And then we have an NFC East game of Dallas versus Philadelphia. I have Dallas winning it and making it back to their first NFC championship game in years and decades.
Wow.
Why the fuck are you so high on Dallas tonight? Good Lord.
Listen,
He's
I hate
fading
it.
himself.
I hate it. I know.
Disrespecting your
He's
fucking
fading
jersey.
himself. If he's right, he's right, and if he's wrong, he's still right.
Oh, look, I'm setting up a great collapse.
He just
here
doesn't
because
want to repeat the post week one.
He doesn't want to be
from
let
last
down
year.
in either direction.
This is smelling reverse jinxie.
We have the championship games here. We have the 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm taking Brock Purdy, Dirty Purdy, over the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm taking...
Wait. What is the embarrassing way that the Cowboys lose?
To Sam Darnold.
Trey Lance is playing starting quarterback versus Brock Purdy.
And then he's awful, and then they have to bench him and put Dak in. Dak throws the game-ending interception. Zeke Elliott comes out at center. It's going to be wild.
The Patriots waive Zeke Elliott halfway through the season. The Cowboys pick him back up because Pollard got hurt.
Oh, and then the AFC championship game, I have Bengals versus Jets. I'm taking the Bengals. So for the Super Bowl, I have it being the Cincinnati Bengals against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals to win it all this year. The team whose coach I fired a couple of years ago will win the whole damn thing now. So that's where I've got. We have spoiled the NFL season for you guys. I know I'm slurring all over the place. No, I don't want to do it again. Look, I have my Washington Commanders wine glass that I made myself, or I painted it myself. And we're slurring all over the place because this is the NFL Glaunch show. And we glaunched it. And you know what?
Wait, is that actually a word? Because the way you presented
It is now.
made it sound like I learned a new word today.
A G launch.
You did. You did. It's G-launch.
I almost Googled it.
It's Elon Musk level. It's right up there.
Brilliant salvo, sir.
We're going to close this out in a very quick way, and the way that we only know how to at the 323. I'm gonna
shit.
Fucking
what
idiot.
The fuck?
What the fuck?
What happened?
You notice how none of us asked if he was okay? We just immediately.
I've been playing with like this Pokeball that's like made of crystal. And I was like rolling it back and forth on my desk like it was a cat. And then I had an empty can of Bang, so I've just been like hitting it and making like dents in the can. And then I missed and it went on the other side of the desk and hit like everything on my shelf on the way down like a fucking pinball.
And then it went bang.
Bang, bang into the moon.
Look,
bang, bang all
like
over you.
We're going to close it out the way that the 323 has to going into a week of football.
Did I catch a Pokemon? Where the fuck did this go?
And that's with the voice of the celestial Emily Sissel.
Life, death, time, space. Forget everything you think you know. Put your money on the line. It's time for Ricks versus Gricks. Gricks?
That's right. It's Ricks versus Gricks, week 1. Reid's picks versus Griffin's picks, but Griffin is lost in space still, so we ended up creating the Grick in Scott Ellia, but we had somebody competing to take that title away from him. That being one big Chief Burrito and sometimes a sleep-deprived Zuhair Ali, who's currently missing. I don't know if he's disappeared into the
I'm
ether.
still here. I'm just trying to find the
there he-
Pokeball.
There he is.
Priorities.
Priorities. So
He's in that fidget with.
we have to go into NFL Week 1 here, and the way we start is with the very first game of the fucking season. That is the Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Scott,
I gave up. I'm just dropping more shit and had a cramp.
Scott, Ellia. The Kansas City Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites in this game. Who do you want?
Luis brought up a really good point. I think the Chiefs are going to have a slight drop off this season. They're not going to be a Chiefs that we've kind of known to come and love or apprehensively love at this point. And Detroit's kind of on that upswing. I'm going to take Detroit in a shocking upset. First game of the year on the road in Arrowhead.
Okay. Luis, how do you feel about them?
I was leaning that way, but I think that Mahomes at Arrowhead is kind of hard to bet against, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Okay, that's safe enough. I like it. Louis, Zoo, who do you want? Chiefs or Lions?
So on the pigskin, I went with the Chiefs because it just seemed like an obvious pick. But with the Kelsey news, live, I'm switching over to the Lions.
Oh,
I'm gonna regret that.
Oh my.
oh yes. Get the fuck out
But
of here.
let's let the delusion take over.
Look, I trust. Like we said, I trust your sleep-deprived mind
I will.
better right now than just
Ow.
about anything else that I can put out there.
Put out.
The Chiefs. I love to pick the Chiefs here, but the Kelsey news is very kind of concerning. I want to go in on the Detroit Lions and all the good feels around their story, so I am also going to take the Detroit Lions.
Rawr!
Now,
Was that a baby lion?
I think it was. It was a very cute lion, a Zion.
That's how I imagine their quarterback roars.
Yeah, probably. Moving on, Scott
God,
Ellia.
that's his name.
We have the Tennessee Titans at the New Orleans Saints.
I know.
Looking at the current odds, the Saints are 3-point favorites at home. Who do you want?
Saints, home field. Titans have so many question marks right now and what their direction is as far as their offense goes. I think it's going to be a big inaugural game for Derek Carr.
Luis, who do you want? Titans, Saints?
I'm taking the Titans to run all over the Saints on this one.
Zoo, who do you want? Titans or Saints?
It's going to be a low-scoring game, but Saints defense is what's going to get him in.
I am going to continue the split. I'm going to roll with the Titans on this one. I think they're going to be a little extra competitive this year. Saints, yeah, I gotta see how they play out at the start. But I'm rooting for Derek Carr. I'm happy for him there. Next game, the Predator. We're going to go off to the Predator. Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson could be back to full form, but the Cincinnati Bengals are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Scott, who do you want?
You know what? Give me the Predator.
Whoa!
Give me Cleveland.
Whoa! Let's go Predators. Luis, who do you want?
What do you call him? The Predator, the North Side's Harvey Weinstein. I'm gonna go with I don't know. I think Burrow on a shaky leg. I'm going to go Cleveland.
Okay.
I think Bengals will get rolling later in the season, but I think they start off with a loss.
Zoo, how do you feel about this one? Bengals, Browns.
I share that sentiment. I don't think Burrow's going to be fully in it. I think the chemistry is going to be off, but Watson's actually had time to work with those people, and I think he's going to start showing the league why they paid him so much money, even if it's still too much.
So you take so Cleveland again. Damn, that's three for three on Cleveland. I'm gonna be the odd one out. I'm gonna be the lone wolf. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals here.
Oh!
I think Burrow will be fine. I think the calf isn't too bad. I like the report I saw out of practice from the other day saying that he looks really good. So I'm gonna roll with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, Dirty Purdy, at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Kenny Pickett. The 49ers are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Scott, who do you want?
I'm going to be making this pick in honor of somebody who is near and dear to close to everyone's heart here at the 323 in Slutty Boy himself, Jeremiah Fletcher, in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, that's one for the Slutty Boy. Luis, who do you want? 49ers, Steelers.
Where are they playing here? I'm sorry.
They are in Pittsburgh.
I'm going to take the Steel Curtain.
Okay. Everybody's going for Jeremiah here. Zoo, who do you have?
I was trying to pull up that picture of Jeremiah. Yeah. As confident as I am in thinking that the Steelers are going to get their team together and start making a division winning run, game one will not be that game. 49ers going to take it.
All right. I kind of want to go with the 49ers, and I know the Steelers are practicing as if Nick Bosa is going to play, but there's a little bit of some type of contract tension going on there. I feel like Steelers have some really good momentum. Mike Tomlin keeps throwing out "I don't cares" in the middle of his press conferences. They're feeling themselves already. They're midseason form, so
really don't care.
I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win game one here against the Niners. The Miami Dolphins are at the LA Chargers. It's that that good old Tua versus Herbert game that makes Dolphins fans feel really good if Tua wins. Scott, who do you want to take there in LA? I will give you the odds too. I'm sorry, I missed the odds. The Chargers are 3-point favorites at home.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Give me Miami on the road.
He's taking Miami on the road. Luis, who do you want there?
Want to unmute yourself there, bud?
He likes the astral music.
Sorry. I am taking as a fan of a team that's from New York that doesn't play New York, I don't understand why the Chargers fans got so mad that the Chargers moved 2 hours away. So I will take the San Diego Superchargers at home in LA.
I miss them being the San Diego Chargers. Zoo, who do you want? Dolphins, Chargers.
I think Waddle and Hill are going to bolt up more than the Chargers defense.
Ooh.
And Dolphins are going to take it.
Okay. All right. I can get
a lot of road wins today.
I know. Yeah. It makes me a little bit nervous, and a little bit nervous that I'm rolling with it here. I am also taking the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to get all the Dolphins wins picked out here while Tua's healthy. But, he takes one bad hit, I'm done with it.
I just don't trust Brandon Staley as far as I can throw him at this point.
That's a very good point. Final game, the game of the week here. It's a Monday night game. We have the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Now, let's just go ahead and get Luis out of the way. Luis, who's winning, Bills or Jets?
the New York Jets that play in New Jersey will beat the Buffalo Bills that actually play in New York. Jets, Jets.
Scott Ellia, who's winning Bills at Jets. I will give you the odds there. I didn't even need to give them to Luis. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites on the road.
Never tell me the odds, Reid.
I don't need the odds because the only person that I need to ask when it comes to the New York Jets is sitting right there.
There you go.
That's Luis. So I'm also going with the Jets, Jets.
Okay. Zoo, are you going 3 for 3 here?
I can't do numbers, but I can do sleep-deprived instinct. Even though I think the Bills are going to be falling off, I think that pass rush is going to bully the fuck out of that O-line and Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, so I'm taking Bills.
I'm very nervous to roll with, sleep deprivation here, but I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with Zoo here, and I'm gonna take.
Even after that noise, you're gonna still go with it.
I know. I'm scared of the noise, but he's getting a lot of top 5 award nominations already. So just from this show, so I am gonna roll with the Buffalo Bills here to win the Monday Night Football. I think it'll be close, but Aaron Rodgers has a weird thing in week 1. Maybe that'll change with the Jets, but his week 1s with the Packers were always a little bit off. He might be really into it this time, but I also just don't feel like hearing Mike Greenberg just come for 2.5 days straight after this game. Yeah, you heard
they're done that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, the worst part about being
comeback broadcaster of the year.
I love it.
Ayo.
The worst part about being a Jets, Knicks, and Mets fan is having to be associated with Jets, Knicks, and Mets fans. So I feel you.
Yeah. No, I can go with that. Listen, those are our Ricks versus Gricks. This has been the 323's NFL Glaunch Show. That's the name that we're rolling with officially from now on. This is the Glaunch. Glaunch off. We are in it. We are ready for football, and you are ready for football now, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for listening. Go enjoy this first NFL weekend. Get your college football in. And where can you find out more about college football and what's all going on in that world, Scott Ellia?
You can visit at 323 College Shame Day on Instagram, and also wherever podcasts are found on the 323 network.
That's
he knows
right.
all about shame.
The 323's College Shame Day. Shout out to her. The 323's College Shame Day. You can hear it just about every Friday or Saturday. It'll come out at some point. It's always great stuff. What are we going to hear about this week, Scott?
This week, it's just kind of recapping the game of the week that we had selected last week, which was LSU at Florida State. And then a couple key performances that happened, looking ahead, and talk about the downfall of Clemson.
And then you have the Big Chief Burrito himself, Luis Martinez. Thank you for being here, buddy. You can catch him on Mi Gente Show in Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito. And, of course, a lot of times on the 323. If you haven't heard the top 5 rappers or top 5 rap songs, go check out those episodes. They are wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me, as always.
Of course, as always.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
And finally, we're going to send him off into dreamland, unless he's been dreaming this entire thing. We have the future top 5 award-winning host of Animation Deliberations, Zuhair Ali. Thank you for being here, buddy. Again, you can find me and the show on all social media platforms at 323Reid, 323REID, and subscribe to the 323 Network on YouTube. That's where you can find all of our beautiful faces. In the meantime, enjoy your football weekend, folks. Stay safe.
Glaunch Day.
Glaunch it.
Something just sounds dirty about that word. I'm not saying it.
Oh my god.
That's your line? That's your fucking line on dirtiness?
Oh my